Well, thanks very much for that, Manisha. Stepping into the last hour of the session, it's been a nothing sort of a market, range bound again, but maintaining the base at about 5,300. So discuss the closing trades for the session as well as the near-term outlook over the next 60 minutes. Hi there, welcome to Closing Trades right here on ET Now. Nikunj also joins me to give his perspective on the market. But before we just discuss where the near-term trend of the market is looking, should bring up the index for you. It's been very, very volatile and now, of course, finding its base above 5,300. 5,300, of course, has been acting as a strong support. The momentum in the market is lacking, which is reflected by the market breadth and the overall participation as well. I would want to bring up the year-to-date chart for the index and Nikunj will throw more perspective on that, because on balance, despite the market being in a lull, we are still up considerably for this year. This year, 15%, despite all the bad news, Nikunj, while skeptics may argue, there might be that concern of growth slowing down, falling below 6%. Now, most pessimists are talking about 5%, 5.5% as well. But the market for its bit is holding up 15%. So how would you distinguish that?
So whatever could go wrong has actually gone wrong. Some factors you alluded to it, but if I can expand that list, poor numbers, no policy action, high commodity prices, crude at $115. Monsoon failure. So whatever could go wrong has gone wrong, but markets are still holding on. And I think the reason why markets are holding on is because of global liquidity. $10 billion plus is what we've got this year. So the operating question is that why are foreign institutional investors investing in India? So let's discuss that point. Now, in the light of what's happening to Brazil, in the light of what is happening to Indonesia, in the light of what is happening to China, India for sure seems to be standing out. That's the only educative guess you can take why money is coming to India. Having said that, our Indian market is extremely attractive. The answer to that is no, because we are trading at about 14, 15 times. Are other BRIC regions doing better than India? The answer to that is no. So if you really have to summarize the market action, I think it's liquidity which has taken us all the way to a level of 5,300 on the Nifty. Are things looking extremely easy for corporate India in the near term? The answer to that is no. So if you map how Indian markets have moved in last 2 or 3 days, I guess some degree of fatigue factor has kicked in, and that fatigue factor is also applicable for global markets as well. So things are holding steady, but since most of the regulatory action is behind us, globally and locally earnings are also behind us, markets, I guess, are searching for the next trigger, the next catalyst. In the absence of any near-term trigger, it would be extremely difficult for markets to generate upside momentum. And since the upside momentum in the market is missing, we are not going up. Now, why are we not falling? That's because of global liquidity, because the dollar index is below 83, crude prices are up, which means the risk on trade is still on. So I guess we are at a crossroad, technically and fundamentally. Technically, we are at a crossroad. Why? Because we failed to cross that mark of 53.50. If we go past that mark of 53.50, then real momentum traders will come back. But if we retreat once again from levels of 53.50, 53.25, then the breakout trade would have failed. So next 2 or 3 days, yes, we will get a directional call. We might not get a directional call this week because we have a holiday. Monday also is a holiday. But markets cannot trade in a 20-point range for the day. This way or that way, a breakout is imminent.
All right, Pfizer's numbers coming in on your screen. Not a very liquid stock. One-time gain of about 380 crores. The stock is coming off from the high point of the session as you adjust for the extraordinaries there. Pfizer, however, for trade was up almost about 3.5% or so at a given point in time. You're looking at profits coming in at 329 crores. So, that adjustment would put the profit figures, I think, pretty much at par on a year-on-year basis, or slightly lower. And that's why you can see the stock correcting itself. Let's touch base with our guests as always to get a quick perspective on the markets. Mitesh Thakkar and Ashwini Gujral both join us with their views. Ashwini, come to you first. The market holding about 5,300 and your specific recommendations. I see all 3 buy calls this afternoon.
Yeah, answer to all of Nikunj's questions are don't think, only do. So the point here is that the market is finding lots of support because all of a sudden the oil and gas space has come back into fashion. And on any declines, Reliance tends to pick up steam. And other than banking, I can't really, banking and, quote-unquote infrastructure, whatever is left of it, I can't see too many weak groups here. And that is the critical point. That is the reason we are not going below 5,300. So people should be very cautious of a market that is not declining on bad news. It's similar to what's happening on Maruti. The low on Maruti was 1090 on the day of the incident, and it has not gone below 1090 ever since that event has happened. Lockout, no lockout. There comes a point when everybody has sold, and incremental bad news does not tend to impact markets. So the market is not supposed to react to each incremental number. Having said that, Dabur has broken out of a sideways market. This is now a buy with a stop about 120, target of 132. BPCL is a buy with a stop about 347, target of 375. And Ultratech cement is continuing to show strength. So this is a buy with a stop about 1670, target of 1750.
Okay, the real beauty spot in today's market is the entire UB group or Vijay Mallya group of companies. Check on United Spirits, a very volatile stock. It's dangerous if you are not a stronger professional trader to trade in and out of that stock. 11% up for United Spirits. There is a hope that things will improve for that company in the near term. UB Holdings, the company which is the parent also for Kingfisher. Is Kingfisher out of the woods? The answer to that is no. But United Holdings or UB Holdings is up 10% on 6 million shares. Then you got United Breweries, the company which owns all the beer business of Vijay Mallya. That's up 9%. So it's not that anything has changed for these group companies overnight. Sometimes markets, when they are running out of ideas, they try to look at pockets of relative performance. Since most of the FMCG stocks currently in India are trading at a multi-year high, and some UB group companies, they indirectly represent a niche FMCG company, I guess some amount of PE catch-up is happening. There is nothing on ground which seems to suggest that the fortunes for UB group companies have changed over the weekend. Ashwini, for those who plan to trade in and out of UB group companies, are they playing with fire now?
Well, if you bought at 850 and if you can keep a trailing stop, that's fine. Often, when this sort of move happens in any kind of an Indian group, you can assume that there is some news on the way because, the informed sources always tend to know the news. So chances are maybe some deal is finally happening. So if you've gotten in at lower levels, then you pretty much wait on the news, and the day news is out, sell off. But to enter right now and think that you'll make the last 20 bucks, I don't think that's really a smart game. But overall, yes, United Spirits has made a fresh intermediate high. So has United Breweries. So chances are they could have another 5 to 8% on the upside. But I think UB is a much more stable stock than United Spirits. So that's kind of a longer term play, more longer term play than United Spirits.
Mitesh, before we discuss your individual ideas, it's quite intriguing to report and see what's happening to Vijay Mallya Group companies. It's fabulous the way they are moving. Are you getting excited as a technical watcher?
Partly yes, I think, one is that for United Spirits, I think the buzz was there for last couple of weeks, and we were looking for a first price target of 875, which has been marvelously exceeded, and possibly levels of 1000. I think technically the next level, now that I think we are practically sure of getting a closing above 875, 880 is around 1000. That's where an important historical weekly supply point remains. So having said that, I think yes, McDowell's, while is already up by about 10% in the trade today, if I'm carrying positions, the only smart way to do it is just revise your stop loss, hold on to it, because this is enjoying some kind of good momentum. Again, I think I've heard rumors about some kind of conference call happening today. I don't know whether they're true or not, but technically speaking, I think it's important that the stock is trading above 880. Just revise your stop loss below that. In case the breakout succeeds, I think 1000 could be tested very, very soon, because this is a breakout on the upside from a upward sloping trend line. So it's got to be having a lot of power. Coming to my stock recommendations, I've got a buy on Jet Airways, but I think in the last few minutes the stock has already moved up. So if somebody's holding it out, I think 405, possibly 415 is what I would look for the stock price to hit in the next few days to come by. The other one is Dabur. Ashwini has already covered that. I think that's the stock which is giving a very good breakout over here. Typically, we have seen that the breakouts in FMCG stocks have done well, whether it be it an ITC or an Hindustan Lever. I think Dabur is also enjoying a steady uptrend. Should do well, can be bought with a stop at 121 for a price target of 130.
Fair enough. Ashwini, just want your quick call on Sun Pharma, since you've been structurally very bullish on the stock. Do you think at roughly about 700, the stock could be topping out?
Well, it's impossible to say, when a stock is topping out just on one data point. So far, it's making new highs. So I don't think there's any problem. There's no problem if the stock decides to move sideways, say comes back to levels of about 645, 650, and then again resumes its rally, because that's what it's been doing. It corrects and then again makes new highs. This move started from 600, went up to 680, and in a market that's going nowhere, it continues to move higher. So definitely people who bought at lower levels around 550, 600, they should continue to hold on. There is no indication that the stock is topping out.
It's just not UB Group companies, but other bombed out spaces are also making a comeback. One classic case here is On Mobile, came to levels of 31, 32, but it's up about, 7%? 44.34 On Mobile, up about 2.5%. Let's also look at Deccan Chronicle, and then we'll revisit some of those ADAG Group stocks, because they are not, ADAG Group stocks are not back with full force, but for sure there is some price action and momentum action in Reliance Capital, Reliance Power. Arcom came out with poor set of numbers, so let's keep that one aside. And the one I want to check is Reliance Infra, which is due to declare numbers later this week. That's Reliance Power for you, 91, approximately 91. Flip it around and you'll be surprised with the price action. Mitesh, are we in for more of this kind of an action? Because markets are stuck in a range, traders would be forced to look outside Nifty 50 stocks, and suddenly, all the bombed out spaces are making a comeback?
I think that's sure happening, and even when the markets were not in a range, because if you recall the rally which started sometime in June, we saw mid-cap participation happening, at least for a period of 3 to 4 weeks. We saw very strong participation happening from the mid-cap side. I think what has happened is that, apart from the fact that we have had an important low in the Nifty around 4800 marks, I think the Nifty mid-cap 500 or the CNP 500 index also has met a very important low. I think it's going through a strong pullback, and that is being reflected in the mid-cap stocks or the beaten down space as well. So I think this is going to continue, and despite the fact that we have seen, I've talked about sector rotation and stuff like that, and people going out of Nifty 50. I think the smaller ones, or the beaten down, or the 2-digit high beta stocks, I think they are possibly will continue a good rally in the next few weeks to come by. A classic example will be On Mobile. I've been extremely bullish on the stock, looking at targets of about 49, possibly 54 to be achieved in the weeks to come by. And last 4 or 5 days the stock was sideways. Today we have seen a strong breakout happening there again.
All right, gentlemen, stay on with us. We'll head into a short break. That's On Mobile, in the session up about almost 7%. As we head into a short break, here out Ramdev Agrawal, Director and Co-founder of Motilal Oswal Financial Services, as he believes that some effort to bring down the deficit will send positive signals to the market. He also has a positive view on blue chip counters like HDFC Bank and ITC, and is bullish on autos from a long-term perspective. When we come back, Neeraj Dewan of Quantum Securities will be joining us.
Forex balance is at 250, 289, 288. So it is holding out at a just a critical level. So my sense is turning around that permanent confidently will be an issue, and that will show the way for maybe some kind of revival in the market. Most of the stocks which are consumer facing today, say you buy Nestle, you buy HDFC Bank, you buy whatever I bought, say whether I have bought a Can India or whether I have bought any say ITC we have bought. So we have not bought it to revisit in we have not bought it to revisit in next 2, 3 years, 4 years. Until things go wrong, we will kind of hold it. High quality public sector banks, your automotive, if it cracks, there will be terrific opportunities, because they are, particularly automotive, their economics remains good. They are suffering only from high interest rate or slowdown in the economy, but eventually they have to become much bigger. Kingfisher, you saw what has happened. Just few years of aviation venture by one of the most cash rich kind of a group where they have reached. So I don't want to